In this video, I'm going to show you a Facebook ad campaign that took a music artist from 5 monthly listeners to 2,500 monthly listeners at a pretty stable rate. And it seems like it's actually growing, even though the campaign ended more than a month ago. So first, let me show you the numbers. So we have Spotify here, and you can see we had 5 monthly listeners. This was before the new song came out. We flip over to the last 28 days. You can see that we have 2,500 monthly listeners, 2,429 monthly listeners. And from the future here, one thing I thought of when I was editing this is that recently I've done some really big case study videos where I show songs getting 12 million streams in only 4 months, 7 million streams in like 8 months, and other really big case studies. This one isn't as big, right? 0 from 2,500 monthly listeners, but it's still a big change to go from one song, to go from nothing to 2,500. And we'll go through the campaign, the budgets all in this video as well. But this is, I think, a more grounded case study for a lot of artists. And just to show you the growth, if I look at the last 12 months here, you can see that like there was numbers here, right? There's like 1, 2 streams, 3 streams, and then we start this new song. Immediately 35 growing up to 285. We had some peak days over 500 streams daily. And even though the ad campaign ended way back in October, you'll be able to see that it ended roughly October 14th, even going all the way afterwards. This is October 14th right here. Most of the streams actually happen after the campaign's over, and we're still actually kind of gaining momentum at the tail end of this with Discover Weekly being triggered, the song doing well in Discover Weekly. It's still growing, actually. So first I want to show you the Spotify for Artists data, but then we're going to flip over to the Facebook ad campaign. I'm going to show you how to set it up, and then we're going to take a look at the Feature FM data. So first, on the Spotify for Artists side, lifetime of the song, we're about 32,000. As you can see, it's definitely down from its peak, but we haven't run ads since back here, and it's growing more recently. We had about 4.25 streams per listener, which is pretty great. Usually you would expect this to be like a 2.5 to 3.5. So the fact that it's a 4 means that the people we found actually like the song, which is always great. These saves, we had 1,600. So 1,600 people added it to their library. The save rate, if you were to divide saves by listeners, is a little bit on the low side. But when we look at the algorithmic percentage here, most of the streams in the last period of time are coming from the algorithm. In fact, if we look at playlists, we can see that since 2015, the big chunk is coming from Discover Weekly. This is one of my playlists. I added the song to one of my own playlists, and then it did get a release radar spike, and it's on radio. Now, if you're new here and you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, Spotify has all these different algorithmic playlists, and if you hit certain metrics, you can qualify for them. So if I change this time window to maybe something like since earliest song came out sometime in September, we have a little more data here. The ad's running at a fairly constant rate through a lot of this. But if the song hits a certain number in a certain time frame, you can get a release radar spike, which is probably what this little bump is here on a Saturday. Release radar only updates on Friday, so you usually get a spike on a Friday or Saturday. And sometimes it's subtle, right? Like Friday here, there's a little bit of a bump. So that's probably algorithmic release radar occurring, even here, this Friday here. But all these Monday spikes, if a song hits roughly 10,000 streams in a 1 month period, you start seeing Discover Weekly. And sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big, but you see some pretty defined Monday spikes occurring here, right? Especially when you go here and here. And then, by here, all the ads have stopped running. So it gets more pronounced throughout because you don't have that stable push of new people coming from the ads. It's pretty much all just being driven by the Spotify algorithm. Now, another metric that I like to see is that data spilling over to another song. So in this case, we're looking at data from another song. And you can see that starting around the same time, that kind of end of September or mid-September when we started for the new song, we do see a increase in streams into his second most popular song on here. And even that still lingers to this day now that the song's in the algorithm. So the ads don't just concentrate on that one song. I mean, most of it does, but it does spill over onto other songs in the catalog. And you should be able to actually measure an increase in followers. In this case, the follower growth wasn't like dramatic. He only gained about 100 throughout this campaign. Over the last 12 months, you can see he started about 10. And by the time we were done, he was maybe 113 or something. And then he's kind of grown a little bit since then, just from the algorithm at 126. So let's flip into the Facebook ad side of things so I can show you how this campaign was set up. In general, this is what I call a conversion campaign. If you've never seen me do this type of thing before, I have a detailed video going over the entire process from start to finish right here that you can check out. I also do have a course down below called Spotify Growth Machine and an ad agency called Forbid Media if you'd rather either learn to do it in the course or just hire my company to do it for you. But but up to you. You have options. And so this is the campaign. We got 2,500 conversions. If you're new here, 2,500 conversions. Oh, this is a Facebook news article. That's not what I want. Basically, we're sending people to this landing page. And then when they click on one of these buttons, it triggers a conversion. And that's how Facebook knows that the person went through. They don't count it if they click on the ad. They don't count it if they land on this page. They have to land on this page and then click one of these buttons for it to count as a conversion. And we can actually track that. What percentage of people are landing on the page versus converting. And here it's around 90% of the people that come here are converting. You can also track what platforms they're going to. Most of them went to Spotify, a little bit Apple, and almost nothing anywhere else. And also what countries they came from and what the click-through rates were for these different countries. So Brazil, Mexico, US, Japan, Poland, UK were the top countries for this campaign. Back to the Facebook side, and I'll go through the individual stats for the ad sets in a moment. But first, on the campaign level, we get 2,500 conversions at 33 cents per conversion. Now, this is 2,500, but over on Feature FM, we actually got 3,130. There's always a discrepancy between your landing page and your Facebook ads. We did spend $800, so this wasn't free. You have to spend money if you want to be able to run ads. We could talk about the profitability and the loss of the money because you only made 32,000 streams. Yada yada. I've talked about this a million times before. There's a lot of good reasons and bad reasons for running ads. But on the good side of things, you can have songs that profit, and you're mostly concerned with the long-term tail. Like, how is the song going to stream over the next several years, not just in a 3-month window. But I'll link to a video right here if you want to talk more about the justifications and finances around how you might decide to run a campaign like this and justify an $800 investment. It doesn't have to be $800 either. You can start with $300. So keep that in mind. Now, going into the campaign, we tested multiple audiences. So I tried, this is kind of an electronic song, like a house track kind of. I don't know the exact what I'd call it. There's so many genres inside of electronic music, but we tried house music, we tried music festivals, we tried targeting techno music, we tried house subgenres, and we tried house artists. So you can see here that there's all these different costs per conversion for these different audiences, which makes sense. Some audiences are gonna like the song more than other audiences. They all kind of did the same, except for this house artist one just did so much worse. Now, if we get a little bit deeper here, if I click on, let's say, techno, we're going to look at the ads that we ran inside of this techno audience. We tried 3 ads. The artist sent me a whole bunch of ads, but I picked 3 to start. And basically the plan is I didn't want to have too many at the start, and then I had more if I needed to pull from them as the campaign goes on. I never needed to use them because this campaign did pretty great. But I'll show you some of these. So we tried an AI ad. I don't know what software the artist used to make this, but there's a lot of different AI tools out there at the moment. So kind of a fun thing that kind of fits the theme. Like this, it was based off the cover artwork, and then it iterates and makes this little video out of the artwork. We tried the AI artwork again, but with the bridge of the song. So this first one was the chorus. You see over here, AI chorus, AI bridge. This one's AI bridge. And then we also try this ad called the Twilight ad. And so this one, the artist and the guest artist, both of these artists they were similar sizes too. So it's not like this vocalist who was on it was huge or something, and that's why they tracked it good. This is both of their biggest songs at the moment, I believe. But they went on a bridge and they filmed some stuff of them performing along to the song. It's a pretty cool vibe. Like the sunsets look great. The bridge is cool. You see cars going around in the background. They got nice clothes on. So, like a lot of people get bad results with ads, and it's because their ads just suck, right? A lot of people's ads that are getting bad results are just bad ads. And some of you get bad results even with great ads. That's totally reality. Like the song has to be great. The ads have to be interesting. The audiences have to be relevant. But if you're getting really, really bad results, like, they took their music here to a bridge and filmed content at like sunset or golden hour or whatever. And it looks really cool. And this was only 3 of the ads they sent me. Like they had a whole bunch more that we could have used. So if you're struggling with this, one thing that could be the problem is you need better creatives. So we tested all these 3 ads and across all these different audiences, and the Twilight ad was the overwhelming winner here. You can see that 32 cents for that ad. The AI stuff did all right, like 41.35, but the the most interesting ad, in my opinion, ended up being the winner, which is always good to see, because sometimes the boring ads do actually just win. Sometimes boring artwork ads will win, but in this case, the more effort intensive and interesting looking ad actually did win the battle in this campaign. So let me show you a little bit about how this campaign is set up, just in case you're curious. And again, if you want details, there's that link to the detailed campaign setup guide up there. But I set up an engagement campaign with a budget of a certain amount. I changed the budget throughout the campaign. I think probably started with $35 and then ramped down throughout. We go into this house music ad set. We're using a Feature FM landing page. We're targeting tier 1, tier 2 countries, which here they are if you want. I also have an ever-updating Excel spreadsheet in my course if you want to always know exactly the countries I'm using and the countries you should avoid. 18 to 48, Spotify, narrowed by house music, targeting only Instagram placements, I believe. Yeah, just Instagram placements. I probably didn't mean to have Instagram Explore Home. I usually don't like that placement. But the important thing is the other four: Instagram Feed, Explore, Stories, and Reels here. That's the basic setup. Now we can talk about some of the different targeting options, because I think there's some interesting elements of this. This one is festivals. So again, it's a house track. So I targeted Armin van Buuren, Coachella, Tomorrowland, Ultra Music Festival, just because that seemed like a potential good fit. If I flip over into house artists, this was the worst performer. Calvin Harris, Carl Cox, David Guetta, Jamie Jones, Loco, Dice, Marco, Corolla. This was a list that I believe the artist gave me for what they thought would be the best fit. It ended up working the worst. The artist is probably right in this case. These are probably the most accurate. But from this that he gave me, I was able to extrapolate and say, okay, let's try festivals. Let's try house music. Let's try techno. And this techno one was literally just Spotify narrowed by techno. And then this one at the end is house subgenres, where we tried deep house, progressive house, and tech house. Now, earlier about the profit thing, I linked to a video up there that you can check out, but I want to talk a little bit about this unique case, just because I think it's more concrete to hear it on a specific example for how you might want to think about this. So first, you should treat like any ads or marketing you're doing paid as like an investment in the future of the growth of an artist. You can't think about the short-term profits. And honestly, like even if you're losing money, but you're growing your audience, like if you're recouping enough of those back-end costs, you're setting yourself up better for the future. So that alone can be a huge incentive to run these campaigns. But on the money side, just because a lot of people ask about it, let's go over this example. How many streams would the song have to get to recover the $800? Well, if we get $800 and we divide it by about a third of a penny, which is what Spotify pays, we need 242,000 streams. We get 242,000 streams minus 31,000 streams. We have 211,000 streams. Right? So we need 211,000 more streams to be able to break even. Again, this is only Spotify. Obviously, there was stuff on Apple and other platforms as well the song gets money from, but just Spotify as the example. So we have 211. And if we assume, and this is a big assumption, but I'm going to assume it just for the sake of example, that this song, you know, it looks like it's on the upward trend. If we say that it's going to get just 6,000 streams a month, just forever, which again, not a realistic assumption, but just for the sake of numbers, we'll say that. If we do 211 divided by 6,000, that would need another 35 months for it to break even. And so let's say it gets 4,000 average. So like it gets 6, it grows up to like 10, then it goes back down, it settles lower, it adds out to 52 months. So basically a little over 4 years, 4.5 years from now, it's going to break even in that example. So it really depends on how the song does. But like if you're an artist, you're probably in this for the long haul, right? So if this song will break even in 3 years, that's cool, right? But let's say it doesn't. Let's say it only averages out 2, and it's like, okay, now that's a lot of years, right? That's like 8 years or something. That's a long time. Well, 4 years from now, the song would have recovered half of its investment. So whatever audience growth you got from this, you can think of it as being 50% off, right? Because you made back half your money. So you gained those 100 followers, you gained however much listeners and playlists that your song was added on in that time. You gain X amount of YouTube followers, X amount of social media followers. And all that stuff is real world value. And that's where you should think about it. A lot of artists get disgruntled because it's like, they don't see the immediate return of like, I spend money, next month I don't get back money. You have to think about this on a long-term scale. And that's how a lot of labels that I talk to and managers and agencies and et cetera, and investors. I know some people who have worked with investors that are investing in music and catalogs and stuff like that. They're not thinking about the returns in the next 3 months. They're thinking about the returns in like a 10-year period. And I think a lot of artists need to shift into that as well. But this was the campaign. I hope you found this interesting. If you want to see that video I mentioned earlier, check it out right here. And if you want to check out that core Spotify growth machine, it's right here as well. Or my ad agency link is in the description as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.